What's up, boys? PoopDeckSeamen here. Just want to talk about the ban list. It's coming up in about a couple of weeks. So this is just something I came up with while streaming. I had other people put in their thoughts as well. So this is just a list that we've compiled of changes that should be made, or changes that, just changes that should be made, I guess. So we started off by saying Spirit should go to 2. Konami doesn't normally put a card from 1 instantly to 3, so Spirit and Fire Fist in general haven't been doing anything, so I don't see the problem with it being at 2. It was only at 1 originally because of Rooster. It's not really an issue anymore. Fire Fist. Chaos Sorcerer can go to 3. He hasn't been doing anything either. With the release of just any new card that comes out, it just like completely shits on other older cards. Chaos Sorcerer isn't as good as it used to be. No one really plays 2. I don't think anybody's gonna play 3. Any card that received an errata would obviously get off of here, off of the ban list or whatever. So Crush Card and Chaos Emperor, so that's why they're not on here, because there's just too many. Cyberstein, I think, can come to 1 in TCG as well, simply due to the fact that paying 5,000 life points is just a pretty hefty cost for it to get, Valor or whatnot. So, Cyberstein obviously is nowhere as good as he used to be. Just complete garbage now, because effect negation is very prevalent in today's game, so it doesn't really matter that you have to pay 5,000, because you're almost never going to resolve his effect. And even if you do, we have 101, we have Castel, we have infinite amount of removal in the game now, so there's a very, very low chance that Cyberstein will OTK you, as he did in the past. Dark Arm Dragon, I think, should go to 2. Just in recent times, we've been seeing, Honest going to 2, possibly to 3, next ban list. I don't think it should go to 3, but it's at 2 now. Dark monsters, like, really all they have is Allure of Darkness for drawing, and they don't really get like universal support. Like Dark Arm Dragon just goes in every dark deck. I had said on stream, if a child in New York can have 2 dads, I think it's time for Yu-Gi-Oh to let us have 2 dads. So D-Mark should also go to 1. He's not as good as he used to be. I guess the only way you could get him back is through discarding and Soul Charge, right? You could do Soul Charge. And even then, like, what spells is he gonna get back for you? If you're digging your grave for a Raigeki off of a D-Mock, you've already lost, dude. Like, before, I can understand you at Pot of Greed, like, oh man, Pot of Greed's good. Graceful Charity, like, they're not in the game anymore though. Like, there's not many spells that D-Mock's gonna get back for you. And I don't think many people, or I don't think anyone would play D-Mock, so I don't see the issue of him being at 1. Deep Sea Diva could go to 2 for sure. I know people are gonna say, oh, that new Mermail card or this and that, but like, honestly, Mermails are just not what they used to be. Even with that card, they're not even good. They just OTK you, so I don't see the issue with Diva going to 2, especially since we're not gonna get that card for a while. So I don't see any issue with Diva being at 2. Now these are sort of a string of cards, so if Stratos gets unbanned, Bubbleman and Malicious, I think, should go to 2. And then also later on I'll talk when I get to it, E-Call and Hero Live should go to 2. Simply due to the fact that Stratos is very powerful, and I don't care what anybody says. I love heroes, but Stratos is just simply too good for all that shit to exist at once. And then, also another thing, just by Stratos being unbanned, Rhoda, I think, should also go to 1. Not only does it hurt, some of the older decks, and also it hurts the tellers, but I mean, it gives a valid reason to, you can just, by hitting Rhoda, you can hit other decks too, which balances out the game a little bit more. Bestiari should definitely go to 2. He's been at 1 for way too long. He should even be at 3. Gladiator Beasts have not done anything in such a long time, so I don't see any issue with Bestiari going to 2. Gores, I think, can go to 3 because nobody ran him at 2. Barely anybody ran him at 1. Now, at least to say. Macro Rabbit, I think, should get bumped up to 2. Simply due to the fact that we've had Tour Guide at 3 for such a long time. The 2 cards are very similar. Like, they're very similar, but they're also, you know, unique in their own sense. But they do the same thing of just, you know, increasing the speed of how you can XYZ. Rescue Rabbit is only with normal monsters though. Tour Guide is, every time Tour Guide has been at 3, she's just been abused, and they have to keep fucking limiting her and semi-limiting her, so I think Thunder King should also go to 2. He's such a good card. Just stop inherent summons, stop your opponent from searching, stop yourself from searching. And he's got a 1900 attack. It's just very good. It's a very good card. Especially now with, you know, we have Necroz and Kleeports and all these decks that are just searching all the time. Thunder King will definitely help out some of the older decks. Not keep up, but at least stand a chance. Tour Guide to 1. I just talked about Macro Rabbit, but Tour Guide to 1 because I don't know, man. It just lets you abuse Scarm so much. You have plays for days. Basically, you don't have to worry about shit because every turn you can just grab a Tour Guide, and it's very, very annoying how you can't really deal with the Dante because they just get a Tour Guide and make another one next turn. So it's basically like you have to kill them in that turn. So Tour Guide to 1 for sure. If not to 2, but 1, I would like a lot. Tragodia to 3 because nobody played him at 2. A lot of these cards you'll see, I'll say, nobody plays them at 2 and they're not doing anything. Tragodia is past its prime. You know, the battle monsters like Tragodia and Gores, nobody plays anymore. Gores especially, since it's a pretty back row heavy format. Tragodia, they don't really play either. So, excuse me, I think you should go to 3. Scout to 2. Not to 1, simply due to the fact that you don't want to completely neuter the deck. But I think 2 is basically like, okay, you're gonna have to work a little bit harder to grab your Scout now. Because too often I see, you know, when I'm facing Kleeports, they open Scout. It's just ridiculous. Like, hitting Summoner's Art isn't gonna do anything, because it's only, I mean, Scout, if you're gonna hit something, you gotta hit Scout. Just because it's for, if you're gonna hit Summoner Art just for Kleeports, then you might as well just hit Scout. Like, just straight up. A Hero Lives to 2. This is what I had said earlier about Stratos, so I'm not going over it again. Advanced Ritual Arts to 3, simply due to the fact that nobody uses it. Like I had said earlier, if you see a card at 3, it's usually because nobody's using it. Book of Moon to 2. We're either gonna have to see Book of Moon to 2 or Djinn banned, because the Djinn lock is just so fucking disgusting. And Book of Moon isn't out. If, you know, Book of Moon to 2, I can see that happening, simply because they had it at 1 for the longest time. At least I believe just for Empty Jar, and they have banned all the jars and stuff, all the jar monsters, so I don't see any issue with Book of Moon being at 2 now. It's just a very versatile card. You know, you can use it offensively, defensively. I like the card a lot. I main deck it in a lot of decks, usually sided out, but I like it a lot in the main deck. D-Fissure to 2. I don't, you know, Macro Rabbit's not a thing anymore. Or I mean, you know, like Dino Rabbit, none of that shit is a thing. So I don't see, like, it helps decks that can't compete against Necroz and things of that nature. I know Konami isn't going to put D-Fissure to 2 because they don't want to hurt the decks that are currently topping, but, or they don't want to, you know, like, completely murder the, like, they don't want older decks to be coming back, so they don't want, like, D-Fissure to 2, but I would like to see it at 2. I think Divine Wind of Miss Valley can also go to 2. It seems like a good time to put it to 2. Definitely with the release of Yosenju's. I know there's like some weird OTK thing, but I don't remember ever seeing anybody, you know, do that at a large scale event and actually win, so I don't If it happens a couple games, I don't really care. I think they needed 3 anyway, so I don't think maybe 2 would help. I have no idea how it works. So Dragon Ravine I think can go to 1. I think they have that new dragon card coming out, the XYZ. I don't think this would help them, but Dragon Ravine for sure could go to 1. Because Konami basically just destroyed Dragoonides by putting it to 0. Dragon Rulers aren't even a thing anymore, so I don't see an issue with it going to 1. Monster Gate can go to 2. It'll definitely help out Infernoids. It's not as good as it used to be. I think it was in Airblade Turbo that caused it to get put to 1. But Monster Gate to 2 will definitely help out Infernoids a lot. I'm not a fan of the deck, but I would like to see, you know, I like that Lightsworn style of gameplay that they have to offer. I just haven't ever played the deck, but I think if it goes to 1, it'll definitely help them out in the milling. Rotor to 1, I had already explained. It'll hurt elemental heroes. Yeah, it'll hurt elemental heroes, and it'll hurt Satellanites. And the card searches a lot of shit, man. Like, it just searches. There's so many cards in the game that are warrior that are good, so I think Sacred Sword can also go to 2. You know, put to 1 from Dragon Rulers. You're only working with like 4 Dragon Rulers now, so you're definitely not going to want to banish it to draw 2. It works in a lot of other decks other than Dragon Rulers that you know are centered around level 7 monsters, and it's only once per turn anyways. So, and nobody would run more than 3. Or more than 2. So putting it to 2 is a smart choice. Bottomless can go to 2. I think it'll help. I don't main deck Bottomless anymore, but Bottomless is definitely very strong against Cleaports. It's not really that good against other decks. Like for instance, in Across, if you have Bottomless, like let's say you Bottomless their Trishula, he's still gonna resolve his effect and take 3 of your cards. So he's not too good. It's not too good anymore as it once was. Like especially and Burning Abyss as well. Like the only thing you're hitting is Virgil and some of the stronger Burning Abyss monsters. But yeah, I don't know. It's just not as strong as it used to be, but it definitely does help against some decks. So putting it to 2, I mean, I guess you'll indirectly help Trap Tricks, but you know, it's not. Hat isn't a thing, so I don't care. Macrocosmos to 2, for the same reasoning I had said for D-Fissure. It helps older decks compete, but then again, like I said, Konami doesn't like putting older decks like into the fray, so they just would rather have it at 1. So it's not happening, but I would like to see that. I think Solemn Judgment can definitely go to 1. I'm almost certain that it's at 1 at the OCG, and I know we have different lists, but there's no reason for Solemn Judgment to be at 0. I mean, it's not even, you know, it's a very powerful card, but it's nothing like okay, so your opponent like summons a monster and you negate it, like okay, but you just, you know, paid half your life points, as opposed to, oh, your opponent just summoned, you know, like Vega, and then you Vanity's Emptiness it, and then it's like, okay, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? Like, it's just, I have a Vega sitting there and I can't even special summon. But it's things of that nature that I think Solemn Judgment should be allowed to go to 1. Just like, if you Solemn Judgment a Vega, at least, you know, they can Altair next turn. But if you fucking Vanity's Emptiness their Vega, like, it's like, okay, well, if they don't have an answer, then they're fucked. Vanities should go to 2. I know we need Floodgates, I know, but I just don't like, you know, cards like Vanities that don't let you, like, if you don't have Mystical Space Typhoon, you can't play. Like, what the fuck? Like, I just don't understand how that can be allowed. Like, oh, well, since I don't have 1 card, I just lose because you can run 3 of that 1 card in your deck, and I can, like, you basically are forced to save your MSTs for Vanities, and you can't even, you know, it's just very, very stupid that Vanities is a thing. But I think it should, Vanities effect should be on like a very weak monster, but it's in a trap that is just a pain in the ass. Like, if they don't have a monster on board, like this, it's just, Vanities is just very unhealthy for the game. I know we need Floodgates, but I would like to see it at 2, because like the card is fun to play, against your opponent, but when it gets played against you, it's just like, okay, well, I'm fucked. For banned, the only thing I should see banned is definitely the Jin Elixir of Rituals. It's way worse than Vanities, because if they get it on their class list, it's like, okay, well, I don't draw removal, I lose. So and especially since, you know, 2300 defense is no easy feat to get over without special summoning. Like, you have to like you gotta put an Axe of Despair on your fucking, you gotta put Axe of Despair on your like Burning Abyss monster to get rid of this motherfucker. Like, you gotta draw Raigeki. You gotta do everything in your fucking power to get rid of this shit. To get rid of the Jinlock. It's so stupid how easy it is to do as well. Like, it doesn't take effort. Like, you have two like level 4s and a somewhat decent hand and you fucking got it. Like, I don't know, the Jin is just terrible. It should definitely go to 0. And it also, and then the Cross Mirror, it's basically like, okay, I win. Have fun trying to beat me. I'm just gonna fucking I'm just gonna Valk every single time you try to attack, so you lose. Now, Jesus Christ, alright. Yeah, so just straight up, the Jin is unhealthy for the game. I don't think it should be at 3. I don't think it should be at 2. I don't think it should be at 1. I think it should be at 0. Thousand Eyes can come off. No one's gonna play, you know, Relinquished and Thousand Eyes Idle to get this fucker out. I guess you could instant fusion it, right? But what you're gonna? It's like a one card removal thing. I don't know. I could see that, but it's definitely not as strong as it used to be. You could just destroy it, and that's it. Like, you can't destroy it through battle, but it's definitely not impossible to get rid of. The Arc Strike Fighter can go to 2. The Errata makes it so it sucks. Goyo Guardian can go to 3. I mean, no one's playing 2. Somewhat people are playing 1. Definitely no one will play 3. Xian can go to 2. We have a new bully on the block. Cyber Dragon Infinity is definitely way worse than Xian ever was. So I don't see any issue with Xian coming to 2. Fucking Cyber Dragon Infinity is just way worse. So, and finally, I think Trishula, my boy Trishula, is coming to 1. I've always wanted Trishula back at 1. He's just such a good card. I know you can loop him. I know but at 1, I know you can still loop him, and I know people don't want their hands to be fucking like demolished. But I think, you know, if a card exists in the game that has almost the same exact effects, I don't see any issue with. Like, I don't understand why, you know, the Cross Trishula can be allowed, but not Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier. Like, what is their reasoning behind that? I think Trishula can come to 1. I think I've been timed out for inactivity, and I think it's time to end the video. See you later, nerds.